It is Friday, June 27th.
This is The Warning.
Standing next to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, in front of a room full of Pentagon correspondents, Pete Hegseth claimed that the bombing mission involving 125 American aircraft was the most complicated and successful military mission in all of history, eclipsing D-Day, Washington's surprise attack across the Delaware at the beginning of the American story, MacArthur's surprise invasion at Incheon. No, all of the accumulated acts of military genius, the great campaigns, the great airborne assault at Arnhem, all of it, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, subordinate now to the greatest attack in history, even greater than the Trojan horse, the attack on the Iranian mountain. Let's watch Field Marshal Hegseth deliver the news.
The bottom line here, President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history, and it was a resounding success, resulting in a ceasefire agreement and the end of the 12-day war.
Fox News is dishonest as the day is long. But, in fairness, there are a couple of ethical and credible correspondents that work at the Toxic Tainted Network. How they do so is between them and their employer and the audience. I don't judge. But it is fair to point out that Jennifer Griffith of Fox News is one of the best Pentagon correspondents covering the beat, and there is nobody who doubts her professionalism, although there are some that may rightly question her affiliation with this corrupt network. But at any rate, she asks a question. Let's watch.
Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
And then Pete Hegseth responds with this finger-waving tantrum.
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
We use phrases in our society like unhinged, and they're commonplace. But this is a textbook definition of unhinged behavior. And it should be reported that in the confirmation hearings for Pete Hegseth's job, there were news reports about the fear felt by an ex-spouse regarding his bullying, regarding his drunken tirades. Did we just get a picture of that? Is this what Pete Hegseth is like, drunk and angry? Is this how he comports himself behind closed doors? This happened in public, this loss of composure. And it was seen all around the world on American military bases where Fox plays morning, noon, and night. And every single service member in the American Armed Forces has been trained to appreciate what they saw from Pete Hegseth is abhorrent. It's appalling. It's dishonorable, and it's delusional, and it's dangerous. Because what happens when the intelligence shows that the Iranians have not lost their determination to build the bomb with the uranium that they have enriched, but has not been destroyed by this attack, according to American intelligence reports, that could be weaponized in centrifuges, also not destroyed in the attack. Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, because they want to create an episode of television and have a television episodic victory for the day in the propaganda wars, have handcuffed themselves when it comes to the tough choices that inevitably lie ahead as the result of their failure to achieve the mission. Because in the script they wrote, there was only ever going to be one mission, and that mission was going to be the greatest military mission in all the history of the world, of course. There was no contingency for the reality that destroying hardened targets in the middle of mountains may take 10 raids, 50 raids, 75 raids. The commitment to the destruction of the program requires a commitment to destroy the program. And the one thing that is clear is that Donald Trump has no commitment to destroying the Iranian nuclear program beyond pretending to destroy the Iranian nuclear program so Pete Hegseth or one of his other henchmen or women can put on a performance like this. And let's be clear, it's anathema to the American people. It's anathema to the enlisted soldier and to the NCO and to the officer, to the field grade officer, to the general officer, all the way up. But none of that matters because Pete Hegseth is not a servant leader of the military. He is a sycophant on his knees in front of his Führer, his leader, the infallible genius, his grace, his lordship, the king, Donald. It's obscene. Now, when you think about the American military and you think about this insanity playing out, let's watch again for a moment.
So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
Can you imagine the reaction of an Eisenhower, a Marshall, a Leahy, a Nimitz, the great battle captains that were trusted by the parents of America to do right by their sons, to do right by their daughters as they were led into harm's way for great causes, for the advance of liberty? And even when the country has bungled its use of force, when we have stumbled and made mistakes, there has never been a moment where a defense secretary so brazenly, blatantly looked into the camera as if the people in the nation listening and the reporters covering it were functionally idiots. Pete Hegseth lives in a pretend world, and he lives in a world where he worships a man. That man is Trump. And those two men together have immense martial power. And they just demonstrated that they'll use it, they'll abuse it, they'll lie about it, they'll do so for politics, they'll attack the media, they'll demand obedience, and assert that patriotism means cheering for the lies of the leaders who abuse the military with those lies. That's not patriotism, that's fascism. And it's an evil. And Pete Hegseth is everything that I said he was and that others said he was. There has never been, and is unlikely to ever be again, any human being as addled, as unfit as this man to lead the American military. A man who is trailed everywhere by his wife into meetings with foreign leaders because he knows that she knows, and we all know, that Pete Hegseth is so f***ed up he can't be left alone at the Pentagon by his wife for a day of work. This is The Warning.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.